Welcome back to the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast, and today we're bringing you the one and only Chucky, the Energizer Bunny. Mady, a lifelong martial artist, world traveler, MMA fighter, and Guinness World Record holder known for ripping cans open with his teeth, as we dive into his incredible journey through Isshin-ryu karate, Kyokushin, MMA, and beyond, which includes breaking down the truth about the fight game, the sacrifices behind the scenes, his mindset on discipline, family, and legacy, all while sharing real stories and real life lessons you won't hear anywhere else. And a huge shout out to our proud supporters, which is Delaware Bushido Academy, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna, White Belt Surfer, Tory Wellness Center. Thank you for making this episode possible. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. And today we are joined by the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Chucky, the Energizer Bunny, Mady. What's going on, bro?
Hey, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Man, absolutely. Yeah. So, you and I go, pretty way back. We've met at the Isshin-ryu Hall of Fame. So Isshin-ryu, for those watching, is a form of karate, which is a form of martial arts. So, Chucky, like myself, we've been doing martial arts since we were, yay tall. And I've enjoyed watching Chucky over the years. And I think it was like maybe 2008, 2009 is when we first met. So it's been close to 20 years. I know you and I were just, talking about that the other day. But yeah, man, here we are. And things. I love your setup in the back. So, bro, so I guess the question is, man, what have you not done?
I've done pretty much everything, right? Anything that was available to me, I did, and I'm continuing to, branch out and do other things as well, right? So.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I remember when I first heard about you, you were really big into not just karate, but a kumite, fighting, breaking, of course. I had a chance to watch your MMA career as it unfolded, and then I know recently you also are in the Guinness Book of World Records, I believe.
Yeah. Page 7 of 2026 book. I broke the record back in 21, and then broke it again in Italy a few years later. And now it's on page 7 of the 2026 book.
Man, that's so cool. So let's talk about that first. So what are you in the Guinness World? What are you in the record book for? Specifically, for those watching.
Ripping the tops open with my teeth.
That's crazy. So when did you? So when did you discover that skill set?
When I was 16 and dumb. Everybody's young and dumb one time. So when I was 16 and dumb, I was messing around. I used to do beer bottles for people, and it was easy to do. And then I started doing the cans randomly. And then in what year was it? 2011 or 2012, my wife and I were watching Guinness World Record Gone Wild on TV, the TV show. And there was a guy from Canada, but he lives in Vegas now, does shows out there, doing this record. He created this record, and he did 11 in 1 minute. And my girlfriend at the time, was saying, you do that all the time. Why don't you go outside and try it? So we grabbed, the record was 11. I grabbed 12 cans, went outside, and I did it in 29 seconds.
Wow.
And so I crushed the record. And I sent it off to Guinness. Guinness said, "Oh, you need a 1 minute video," gave me all the guidelines. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have, the patience for it. Yeah. So I just put it on the back burner. And then during COVID, I was working, and we had the security guard working at our store. And he's like, "Hey, I have a podcast, and I want you to come on and talk about your fight career. And I know you can do this, so let's break the world record on our show, and I'll take care of everything." Yeah, all right, perfect. So we ended up doing that, got that record, and it went viral. The day that Guinness posted it online, it went viral. It was in Taiwan and just different places, and it was featured on Huckabee, his TV show. I was on TMZ. I was all over the place. And then a few years down the road, I did Canada's Got Talent. I was a semifinalist, and then I did it in Italy on the actual Guinness show to re-break my record. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a journey.
Dude, that's so awesome. And it's kind of silly, right? So it's a cool record to break, but I wonder for yourself, was it when you knew that it was okay, this is something that I could break, did you ever think that it would have the momentum that it did afterwards?
Not at all. I just wanted to do the record, right? And then my dad yelled at me for breaking it by so many, right? So the first time I broke the record, the original record was 11. I did 24. He's like, "Why did you do so many?" He's like, "People are going to call you." Because after it went viral, he's like, "People are going to call you to break it again." So when I went to Italy, I did 35 in a minute. My dad's like, why did you break it by so many? Just break it by one or two, because you're going to keep getting called and you're going to have to keep pushing yourself to break more. So it's like, all right, I did 35. Now next time I'll do 36 and then 37. So I'm not like crushing it, and I can actually do it. Right. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard not to, right? Because you're in the moment and you're like, yeah, let's just keep this going.
Keep it going, right? Like, and with me, everybody's like, oh, how do you keep count? How do you know you broke it? I color coordinated my cans, right? So because you have to cover up the logo, so they taped them for me or painted them for me.
Yeah.
So I said the first time I said do 24 in one color, and then everything after that I know I broke my record. So once it changes color, I'm not counting. I'm just going, right? Because if I count, it takes up a couple seconds, and I don't want that, right? So I just shut off my brain and I just go. Just like with fighting, right? Like I already have all the techniques and know the techniques. Everybody's like, how are you so fluent? How are you so smooth? Well, I just shut off my brain and go. I already know the techniques.
Yeah.
Might as well just go and let it flow.
Yeah, it's like your body takes over. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Have you had any injuries before, like, with the cans?
With the cans, luckily, no, knock on wood. No injuries with the cans. I bit my lip one time. That's about it.
Yeah.
I was going so fast.
Yeah, dude. I remember you did that one year at the Hall of Fame. I think we were in the lobby. And you just so just so nonchalant. You're like, yeah, like come here, I got you. It was cool. Yeah, man, awesome stuff. So yeah, so congrats to you there, for breaking the world record. That's pretty special. Yeah, man, absolutely. So now let's kind of dive into your martial arts career. So I know you've been doing martial arts since basically since infancy. So let's start there. When did you first get introduced to the martial arts? And I don't want to assume anything, so I don't know if Isshin-ryu was the first style that you did. So yeah, take us down memory lane.
Yeah, so I started when I was 3. Technically, I've been in martial arts my whole life, but I started when I was 3. I'm 37 now. My father, he's 9th degree black belt. He's been in Isshin-ryu for a long time, and
legend.
Yeah, he would bring me. My mom would go to work, and my dad ran his dojo, and he would bring me there instead of having a babysitter or anything. I would be at the dojo playing with my toys, and the one day he was teaching class and teaching basics, and I guess I got up and stood next to him and I started copying him. And he kept his mouth shut, didn't say anything to me, and I continued on. That's what I drill into my kids, right? So like if they jump in and practice next to me or do something, I don't say anything. Because when they're kids, you say something, they're going to run away and want to play with their toys again, right? Mm-hmm. So I just kept my mouth shut, and Mateo, he's done very well in karate, and yeah, so that's what happened with me. I started at 3 years old and continued on in Isshin-ryu. Started with Isshin-ryu, continued with Isshin-ryu, branched off to be a Kyokushin world champion, kickboxing champion, MMA champion. I have my 2nd degree black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. I've just been doing it a long time. I don't go for rank. Everybody said, well, why don't you test? Why don't you test? Few years back at the Hall of Fame, I was what was I? I was fourth dan, and to get inducted to the Hall of Fame, you have to be a 6th dan. They put that rule in, I don't know, a few years back, because it never used to be a rule back in the day. And I would have got inducted a few years ago if I was a 6th dan. And the reason why was I wasn't a 6th dan. So all the senior dans were yelling at my dad for not promoting me. And I looked at all of them. I said, I don't want the promotion. I don't need it. The rank doesn't mean anything. I have the experience. I have the time in. I've branched off. I've taught Isshin-ryu all over the world. I've brought Isshin-ryu to different styles and dominated. And I've done it for a long time. So and I said, I don't do it for rank. Rank doesn't mean anything to me. I said, you could be. I tell everybody in my dojo when they fight in Kyokushin tournaments, they could be a white belt, but I want them to fight in the senior division. I put a brown or black belt on them to fight in the division, and then they beat them. They say, how do we do that when we're like a white or yellow belt? I said, because of the training that you do. It doesn't matter about the rank. Yeah. I said, it doesn't matter about the belt. It just keeps your pants up. You know what I mean? That's what I say. Your belt just keeps your pants up, right? This was told to my father years ago by somebody. I'm going to tell you too. You can have all the rank in the world, but it's not going to buy you a cup of coffee. Right? So to me, rank doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Right. So a few years back at the Hall of Fame, I won my division. I did a bunch of stuff. I walked down to the hallway, and everybody's standing around, all the senior dons, my dad, a bunch of the students, and they promoted me. They wanted to double and promote me to 6th, and I said no. So they promoted me to 5th, but they were going to double promote me to 6th dan. I didn't want it. That's not how I want it, right? I don't need it. I got 34 years in. I could be 7th dan right now. You know what I mean? Like, I have the years in. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm a 5th dan. Leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
It's the only thing is I can't get inducted into the Hall of Fame until I'm 6th dan. So who knows? We'll see in the next couple of years. See what happens.
Yeah, it's a good mindset to have, and I agree with you there because when you're in it for the right reasons, like you have, and even myself being in, I mean, because I started when I was 6, so I've been a lifelong martial artist, and so our paths are very similar in the sense where we just train, like
Yeah.
all those accolades, all those things, they kind of just come over time, and it's more just it's all opinion based, like people think highly of people think highly of us enough to do XYZ, but I like the mindset where you have where I can't buy you a cup of tea or coffee things.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So early on, Chucky, did you ever feel pressure to have to compete in these tournaments? So like I know your dad being an icon in his own right, and I'm sure he was a great example for you, of course. So I'm sure competition, it kind of just, came naturally. But was that something early on that you wanted to do? Or is this kind of like, oh, you know what, things I'll try it and see how I do?
Yeah, no, I've always wanted to compete. I was going to compete anyways, right? I would always watch all the senior fighters at our dojo competing all the time, going all over the world, and like, you know what? It's going to happen, right? I'm going to do it, and I did it, right? So
Yeah.
now I'm one of those senior guys, and I'm helping out the younger crew and trying to bring them to different places, right? I've traveled the world, fighting, competing, and just passing on Isshin-ryu and being better than most systems, I guess, or styles. While I'm an Isshin-ryu practitioner, I wear my kanji, I have all that stuff, my black belt, and when I walk to the cage, I have my gi top on and my black belt.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I'm always promoting, showing that I am Isshin-ryu. I have it tattooed on me. So
Yeah. In your experience, in your travels and different, martial arts venues that you've been to, how does the world of martial arts perceive Isshin-ryu, like from your understanding?
a lot of them don't really understand, and a lot of them don't understand traditional martial arts or traditional karate. Right. They don't realize, they're like, oh, what's that point stuff and whatever. Realistically, Isshin-ryu is not a point system, but that's what it became, right? It was taught to U.S. Marines
Yeah.
stationed on Okinawa. It's
Yeah.
combat. It's you gotta, you know what I mean? Kill or be killed. That was the thing. That was our system, and it's lost a lot of its, I guess, strength over the years. I believe
Yeah.
people pat it down, watered down for family martial arts. I guess you could say,
Yeah.
not real life self defense martial arts. So I just feel that I continue to push it forward, and you got to look at who won the first World Kyokushin tournament. Grandmaster Gary Alexander. He
Yeah.
was Isshin-ryu.
Yeah. Yeah.
He fought in a Kyokushin tournament and he won. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like I continued on doing that.
Yeah.
So that's just that's my opinion, right? You just got to keep the tradition alive.
Yeah.
What it was meant for, what real karate was meant for.
Yeah, I gotta ask, is it difficult for you sometimes to I know for myself growing up when like friends or family or people that I didn't even know, they would ask me like, what karate is. Did you ever struggle kind of defining it, to the average person that has no idea? Because people think, right, they know what it is. People combine jujitsu, karate, and MMA
Yeah.
like, all the time. But growing up, did you ever struggle like explaining it to people that didn't know what it was, or was that something it kind of came easy for you?
Realistically, in my city, if you don't know the last name, you really live under a rock or you're new to the city, right? So it's like I didn't really have to explain. When
Yeah.
somebody asked me my name, they're like, "Oh, okay, I understand." Like they already know.
Yeah.
So like I guess I'm lucky that way. I don't have to really explain things to people that are in my area because they already know the name. So
Yeah.
I didn't really have to do too much to do that.
Absolutely. Do you enjoy kata?
I haven't done kata in a tournament since 1994. I do have proof, and I do have a trophy, and I did place. And so kata, I do it. I don't really do it often. It's very very rare for me to do a kata. But I'm more of a bunkai person.
Sure.
right? Kata
Yeah.
bunkai.
Yeah.
Because realistically, it's textbook of fighting moves, right? That's what it is. It's textbook of self defense and fighting moves, and you gotta use those, right? It's not just your forms and whatever. You got to use those in real life situations. So when I'm judging kata, I look at their stances, and big thing is stances, right? Because if you don't have a good stance, you're not gonna have good technique.
Yeah.
So stance is number one. Technique will come after, right? Once you have that stance, that technique will follow. If you have good technique and shitty stance, your technique is technically not good.
Yeah.
Right. So when I'm judging kata, I'm basing on that. And then when I'm doing testings and stuff like that for black belt, I try to get them to do different bunkai and think outside the box, right? Yeah, okay, you're going to do block, punch, punch. Okay, well, use it. How are you going to use it? You got to modify it a little bit. Or you can block, catch, punch, right? Like different things like that, right? So you got to use it in a real life situation. So for me, I don't really do katas too much. I should start again. I just haven't done them in a long time when it comes to like competition or stuff like that. But yeah, I might eventually. I'm getting older, so once I'm really done fighting, I might focus on that because my body won't be able to continue on in this high level for a long time, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. I feel like you and I are similar when it comes to kata awareness and like knowing what a good kata looks like. I know that you've judged at the Hall of Fame, the Isshin-ryu Hall of Fame every year, and I know we've had talks, and like sometimes you'll come over and be like, dude, some of these katas are just shitty, you know? And
when you see the same kata over and over, it's like, all right, and you can tell where they've trained or who they train under. So it's not about where they train or who they train under. It's more of because it's the same kata. You just have to make sure you know the proper technique and you have proper stance. I'm not judging it if let's say somebody teaches it just slightly different, but it's the same technique. I'm not going to judge it any differently. It's a blanket statement for me. It's one thing. You have the right technique. You know exactly what you're doing. I'm not going to judge you because your technique was a little bit different than this person's technique, right? It's all the same, right? It's just the way you were taught, right? And I don't like that when it comes to competitions and tournaments. Oh, you have this kanji, or you have this patch, or you have this and whatever. Yeah. I don't like it, right? I don't like that. And I don't judge like that. You know what I mean? Like anytime I go to a tournament, I have Isshin-ryu kanji, and I'm going to a different tournament, different style. Oh, is it an open tournament or is this your traditional tournament? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Who cares what patches on my gi? Doesn't mean anything. Just judge by the technique. Do the stance, do the technique, the power, speed. If he's overdoing it, that's how you have to judge a kata. You can't just judge it based on their kanji or their patch.
Yeah. Is there anyone outside of your lineage that you've been impressed with overall with Isshin-ryu, like their kata or skill set?
You have always had a good kata, but I don't know. There's a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like I don't really specifically say anybody, right? But because everybody's good in their own way.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of katas could be really good, and you see a lot of the black belt and grand champion stuff. I find it a little bit more robotic, I guess. It's smooth, nice and smooth, but robotic.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, well, if you're standing, hold that position. Let me hit you, see if you move.
Yeah.
You might move because you're in a robot stance. You know what I mean? Like that's my feeling. That's how I feel about it. But no, like there's a lot of people. I don't really name names or say, okay, who does well in kata and whatnot. But there's a lot of really good ones and there's a lot of really bad ones, right? There's some in between. Just that's with every sport or any kind of thing, right? So
I was just curious because I know you and I are around the same age, and growing up, we came up with a pretty good arsenal of youth students. Again, competing around the same era. The Wynn brothers were always pretty good, and Thomason's good too. So like it does exist, but like I feel like it's kind of few far in between. Like like you said, like I see a lot of good, but I also see a lot of bad at the same time. So
it's funny when we all used to compete together, like Michael and you and everybody. Mm-hmm. I found it funny sometimes if I would register, they see me at the tournament. Oh, are you competing in Kumite? Yeah. All of a sudden they pulled out. I'm like, what is going on right now? Yeah. Like it was funny. I've had a few people like just pull out of fighting because I was competing. I'm like, oh, that's not how you're going to learn, right? Like, okay, I've probably beaten you a dozen times, but you never know, right? Anything can happen. Like, I'm not a point fighter, but I do it. You know what I mean? I do it for just my timing, speed, accuracy, just and for the tradition, right? Like, I'm an Isshin-ryu practitioner. I might as well just jump in and support and compete, right? Because I've had over the years a lot of kids look up to me, and some of them now are doing MMA and kickboxing and fighting like full contact. Why? Because of myself and my father, and I appreciate that, and I actually do think that it's because of him and I continuing and doing it and pushing Isshin-ryu to a new level, I guess you can say, and branching out and doing that, because a lot of them just stay Isshin-ryu and do the point and not really branch out and not really look outside the box. You know what I mean? They just stay inside and continue on. But we branch off and we make it excel, right? Like, everything evolves, right? You have to make sure it evolves properly.
Yeah.
So Isshin-ryu is still a very young martial art, right? So, and you gotta, like, it's all evolving, right? So if you look at Master Shimabuku's katas compared to katas nowadays, everything evolves, right? Technique was done a certain way, everything evolves.
And you could even say Shimabuku was even a mixed martial artist in a sense where he was, kind of blending different stuff too.
Blending everything together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into your MMA career, I did want to ask: is it hard for you because you've done Kyokushin, MMA, a full, point fighting, and or full contact? When you're doing point fighting, let's say at the Hall of Fame, is it kind of hard to adjust to the rules because that you can go a little bit more, or you just kind of just go with it? Because dude, hold on, bro, because I gotta say, dude, you are hilarious. Because the last Hall of Fame, I was watching your matches, and I was sitting there watching you, and like you would score a point, and then you would just have a conversation with me. You were like, "Hey Nick, did you see that?" And then you would go right back in. So like you're very like playful in that sense. It's I think it's I mean, one would say it's comedic, but I just think no, like that's Chucky. He just goes with the flow. So anyways,
yeah, like with the point fighting stuff, like I do it for fun. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything to me when it comes to like competing in that. Like, I have fun doing it, right?
Yeah.
I mess around, I joke around. If somebody's gonna go a little hard, I'm gonna go harder. All right. Like, I don't mean to hit you that hard. Like, I hurt myself doing point fighting. That, if that makes any sense, right? Because I'm trying to pull my technique. I'm throwing it, but I'm not throwing it with power or as much speed as I have, so I don't knock you out. I've dropped people at tournaments, at the OK tournaments. I've the Isshin-ryu Hall of Fame. Spinning back fist, and then they had to rewatch it on video because I said it was a clean technique. I didn't throw it blind. I threw it, I landed it, he came in, and I dropped him.
Yeah.
I looked, I saw what I was doing. He just came in on it and knocked him out. Sorry. Well, I got my point. Right? So it's like, and if I'm going to hit you hard, I'm going to hit you in the body, just because a lot of people don't condition their body properly, and I always attack the liver, and it doesn't matter how hard you get hit in the liver. If you get hit in the liver, you're going down. So yeah, no, I have fun doing these Isshin-ryu tournaments and point fighting, and just I'm going to compete hopefully in July. If make sure everything heals up, I'll be competing at the World Breaking Championships a couple weeks before in Florida.
Heck yeah, dude.
So we'll see what happens. Just trying to work on sponsors right now for that one, but
yeah,
it should happen. Yeah.
The Hall of Fame is a good one. Last time that I sparred there was 2019. It was the 3rd to 5th degree division, and it was when India brought the big contingency. And my first match was against the other guy from India. I forgot his name, but that was my first time fighting someone from that country. So you kind of get like, dang, like how good is he, or like but just the basics. So I ended up winning that division, and then I moved on to the Grand Championship. I think it was Landon, Tony Williams, and I think like 3 other people. And I don't think you had competed that year, or maybe you were just watching.
I was going to. I think I was going to Singapore that year. That November, I was going to Singapore.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a good event. Yeah. So if I was watching, just it's cool. And if you're there, like Chucky's always walking around. So.
I'll be there.
Cool, dude. So now let's transition into your MMA career. So I know you've been doing MMA now for a while. So, coming from a strong traditional karate background, was that an easy transition for you? And obviously you still had to learn like other skill sets, along the way.
For sure.
Like, what was MMA? Like, was that I don't want to say easy, but how was that transition like in the beginning for you? Because how long you been doing MMA? Like I want to say when
I
you're early
turned
teens.
Yeah, so I turned pro in 2007,
Okay.
and was amateur for a few years before that,
So you were
competing in
18 around
amateur.
that time, right?
I was like 17 when
Nice.
17.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then turned 18 and had my second pro fight, and so I started amateur MMA when I was 14 or 15, competing
Yeah.
against adults because that's what I do. And just I had wrestling from high school, and I did judo when I was young as well. Um, so I already had some takedowns. I had submissions. My dad taught me. He did judo before he did Isshin-ryu when he was young. So it's like we had our takedowns, we had our submissions, we had all that stuff we kind of needed. But I like to keep the fight standing. And then I noticed people wanted to take me down because they didn't want to stand with me. So I had to like learn a little bit on the ground a little bit better. And so I started submitting people. So if like some of my record, like I have a lot of submission wins or knockout wins.
Mhm.
I've lost. I've taken fights where I shouldn't have. My got to listen to your coach, right? My dad's my coach. And there was a couple fights. He's like, "Oh, I don't want you to take it." Like I'm like, "No, Dad, I want to fight." He's like, "No." He's like, "Don't take it. Like you're not like training properly for it or whatever. Like you're ready, but I don't want you to take the fight." And I take the fight, and then something happens, and I lose. And he's like, "Well, I told you." I wasn't gonna stop you, but I told you. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's happened it's happened a few times where I've taken a few fights, and there's been a couple where I've been ripped off by the ref. One time in Montreal because I found out later the ref he was a Kyokushin guy, and I fought two of his students a few years before that at a tournament, and I broke their arm, one guy's arm, and one guy like knocked him out, and he just didn't like me, and he stopped the fight in the second round when nothing was happening.
Mm.
Yeah, it was just it was a bad situation. So I've had a couple, and then there was been a couple that should have been like I don't know, not a DQ, but like something like shady happened in the fight, and referee just didn't do anything about it. And but no, like I've had some good fights, I've had some bad fights. Things happen. That's life, and I
Yeah.
got over 300 fights now between full contact karate, kickboxing, and MMA. And I've traveled the world. I've competed in MMA in Bahrain, Singapore, Indonesia, Jordan, all over the United States, Canada. I've competed a lot of places, Amsterdam. So
Yeah,
it's taken me a lot of places, right? So fought for Bellator back in 2011,
yeah.
and yeah, so I'm one of the original, I guess, MMA fighters in the province of Ontario or in like that area, right? So being a pro in 2007, right? I was still fresh out of high school and walking around as a pro fighter, right? So it was interesting. Yeah, had some fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what's the path for those that are so what advice would you give someone that is, wanting to pursue MMA now? Because I know, right, to my understanding,
Stay in school.
huh? Stay in
Stay
school?
in school. Yeah. No,
I know,
I tell a lot of these kids. So go ahead.
no, I was gonna say because I know to my understanding, Chucky, you have to do what at least 3 to 5 amateur fights, and then hopefully like a pro organization picks you up, or is it kind of different per fighter?
It depends. Like it depends on your coach as well, right? So you should fight a few amateur fights just to get the feel for it, so you know what you're getting into. And
Yeah,
then if your coach or somebody knows some organizations, you can get a pro fight, right?
yeah,
Um, because we've been in the game a long time, it was easy for me to get the fights, and I
sure.
was getting paid pretty well back then. Nowadays, like they'll take these 18-year-old kids out of high school and pay them $200 to go fight, and they don't want to fly people in. Like I flew around the world, you know what I mean, and get paid. Now it's like they'll take a local and make him sell tickets to make his money. Like
Yeah,
that's what these I hate to say it, but greedy promoters do nowadays. You know what I mean? They try to just use locals just so that they can make the extra buck
yeah,
and not pay the fighters. But no, like kids that want to do MMA nowadays or compete in MMA, I say stay in school, get a good education, graduate high school, college, have something to fall back on. Because if you're going to say this is your career, you get one stupid injury and your career is done. Now you have nothing to fall back on. Now you're going to be flipping burgers or pouring coffees and making minimum wage, right? So it's like you
yeah,
have to have that education to fall back on. Like I graduated college 3 different programs. I do have a good full-time job and I bartend on weekends just because I'm bored, right? Like the kids go to bed, my wife goes to bed. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go make some money.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like you have to have a good education because if I ever really got injured from a fight, I need something to fall back on to get a good job. So I'm not struggling with a minimum wage job.
Yeah.
So I do have that education that I need. But like some of these kids nowadays are like, oh, I'm just gonna graduate high school and not go to college and then fight and then in a year you guys are done. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're screwed. You're screwed. You're not gonna make money. Like money was better back in the day when I started than now when it comes to fighting.
Yeah.
There's really no money. So get a good education, have something to fall back on. If you want to fight, go ahead and do it, but have that education to fall back on if you need to.
Yeah, those are all good points. It reminds me of a video that I saw the other day because I was doing some research because I knew that I was going to be having you on. It was something that I wanted to ask. So I know with like the UFC, and again, I'm not, and again, this is not in absolute, and I'm not speaking that I'm a subject matter expert, but I know
Sure.
even UFC fighters or even like these pro MMA fighters that you're talking about, even once you make it, like you're still not making a lot of money until you're actually getting paid. Because I've heard stories of MMA fighters that are professional and they're working regular jobs, right? Or
Yeah.
living in the gym, so it's not as glamorous of a life that people might think it is.
Yeah, because you got to look at it this way. I was the fortunate one and lucky enough to have my father as my coach and my manager.
Sure.
Right. So usually you got to pay for training. You got to pay your coaches. You got to pay your manager. You got to do this and that. And once everything's all said and done with, let's say they're going to pay you 10 grand. You got to give 20% to this person, 10% to that one, pay for your training, pay for this, pay for that. All of a sudden you're down to nothing.
Yeah.
With me, I didn't have to give my father anything. I learned that from Maurice Smith. He brought me out to Bahrain. Maurice Smith was a UFC champion, K1 champion. Brought me out to Bahrain to fight, and I knocked a guy out in 12 seconds. And he went to pay me after the fights, and I'm like, okay, I'm separating like what I should give my dad, like 20% or whatever I was going to give him for being coach and manager, right? Like that's what my dad does, takes 20% from the fighters. And most of the time when our fighters needed the money, my dad wouldn't take it. Even though my dad needed the money more than them, my dad wouldn't take it. He's like, all right, here, no problem, right? That's how my dad is. He's always been that way his whole life. So I went to go give him the 20%. I hand him some money, and because they paid me cash, which is great. But yeah, I hand him the money. Maurice is like, what the hell did you just do? I'm like, just gave my dad 20%. He's like, why? He's like, you only made this much. I'm like, I know, like I made decent money. He's like, yeah, but until you make this much, don't give him anything. Go get it back. So I went by. I'm like, Dad, can I get that money I gave you? And I took it back. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Maurice just like looking. My dad's like, what? Like what happened? But yeah, like they don't make good money because you gotta look at everything that falls into place. Like, yeah, they're living at the gym because they can't pay rent, or they're living in their car, or they're traveling. You got to pay for your groceries. Like when I cut weight for a fight, I'm eating more, so my grocery bill is a lot more. So it's like the diet, right? It's so that money you're making is not what you think it is. You know what I mean? You make 10 grand, you make 20 grand,
and taxes too.
Oh, and thank God in Canada we don't really. Technically, we don't. You do and you don't. Like when I do my taxes at the end of the year, I got to do everything as like self-employment on top of my full-time work. So whatever I make, I just use that as self-employment income, and then whatever they deal with, here you go. Here's my receipts. Have fun, right? So, but yeah, like United States, I think they take more taxes when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Well, our income tax is crazy. It's like what was it, 46% or something?
Really? Jeez.
Something stupid. Like half my money goes to the government when it comes to income tax. Yeah, it's crazy. But
Don't
anyways,
you guys have a better healthcare system than us, though? I think you guys have a better.
We pay it in our taxes.
Yeah, so do we. So
no, like even worse. Like my property tax on my house is like $5,500 a year, just for my property tax, and like all the taxes that we pay, like our gas. Like gas right now is $1.87 a liter. It's about 3.5 liters to a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So just under $6 a gallon I'm paying right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like our taxes on everything is crazy. Like, so yeah, like people say, oh, it's free healthcare. No, it's social medicine. We pay it in our taxes. Like when I go get surgery on my hand, I'm not going to get a bill in the mail and get a heart attack from that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go in, take care of it, and I'm done. And then I got private coverage with my wife's work and my work, so like even if I had to pay something, I got coverage. But yeah, it's we're lucky when it comes to that, but it's our taxes are ridiculous.
Yeah. Um, so going back to MMA real quick,
Yeah.
how like if you could look back at your career, how would you say that you panned out overall? Like, are you happy with where like you achieved?
Uh, no, I'm not happy with a couple things. Like I should have been on the Ultimate Fighter back in 2010,
Really?
2011 ish.
Yeah, yeah.
I went to the tryouts in New Jersey. One of my sponsors brought me out there. I had interviews. I was one of the favorites. I was a 3-1 record back then, and I was one of the favorites. I was told to be on the show because I was one of the only Canadians doing things out there, right? And told that yeah, you should make it, no problem. Blah blah blah. Go out there, do the tryouts. Everything's all good. Dana sees me. Yeah, give him my portfolio because I just made a bunch of portfolios. Here you go, whatever. Hand them out. Dana's like, I already know who you are. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, yeah. He's like, I already know you can strike. Perfect. He's like, win a few more and then come back and see me. I'm like, what's that mean? Like, so I found out later because James McSweeney, that was on the heavyweight season,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he comes and trains with us once in a while and whatnot. And when he's in town, and told me, he's like, Chuck, he's like, they were looking for a fight, or Dana White actually told me too, said that they were looking for fighters with 8 to 10 fights or more. They wanted people with bigger records. And then he told me that they do the tryouts at the time, and let's say there's 12 people in the house. They already have 8 of those people chosen before the tryouts even happen.
Sure.
And that's Matt Serra has somebody, or this person has somebody, that person has somebody. Like these guys are already in the UFC. They have somebody, they have a guy that they train with or whatever. They're already using those guys. They're only going to pick 4 people from the whole tryout. You know what I mean? And I was fighting for Maximum Fighting Championship shortly after that, which he knew because he's like, yeah, win that fight, do this and that. And Maximum Fighting Championship was like the biggest Canadian organization, I guess, at the time. And yeah, so it didn't pan out that way. It kind of sucks because now you see like the people in the Ultimate Fighter, or when he brought the women's divisions in, people had 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights, and he didn't care about that. You know what I mean? So it's like it kind of sucked because if he had that mentality as now back then, I would have been on there no problem. But
What do you think
yeah,
changed though? Like, why was the mentality different, you feel, from your own experience with that?
well, his mentality back in the day too said he did it in interviews too, and said he would never have women fight in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And look at now, they're main eventing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like you got to evolve. Like I said with martial arts, but martial arts evolves. Isshin-ryu, it's evolving. Everything's evolving, right? So it's like if you don't evolve, you're left behind,
Yeah.
right? So that's probably in his head, like mentality. He's like, okay, well, I can't just sit here. Everybody else is going to be doing it. I gotta follow suit. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. That's just how I feel. That's probably what exactly happened, right? So he had to evolve,
Yeah.
and he's about the money, right? So he wants to make money. He's got to evolve in the sport and make money somehow, right? So
Yeah.
it's gonna put people in the seats, fans in the seats. You gotta do it.
Yeah. It's a business, so
So
like it's a
yeah,
hustle.
exactly. It's a bit exactly. Yeah. But
Um,
I fought for Bellator, and that was cool. That was good. And I'm actually lucky I didn't fight for the UFC back then, because of their contract. They were just transitioning to that Reebok contract that they had back
yep.
then.
Yep.
You're not really making much money. You can't get your own outside sponsors, and like nowadays too with what they have with Venom, it's like you can't really have your own outside sponsors. You get X amount if you have this many fights in the UFC. Like there's this breakdown, right? So you get,
Different
let's
tiers.
say,
Yeah.
different tiers.
Yep.
And it sucks because like you're trying to, that's where you make money nowadays, you know what I mean, with your sponsorship. Like when I fight, I put sponsor logos on my shorts and my stuff, and that's how I make my money. Maybe I'm fighting for $5,000, I'm going to make $10,000 in sponsorship. You know what I mean? Like that's the mentality when it goes to that. Like they're getting the exposure, they're getting the promotion, and I'm pretty much helping them do that, right? So that's where you make your money, right? Nowadays, because the promoters don't like to pay. Even in the UFC, like people when they just start out in the UFC, they're only making like $8,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not making much money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's interesting to be able to hear that from someone that's been there, because again, for someone that's not familiar with MMA or the UFC or even just that, that trajectory, it's easy to be like, oh, yeah, like once you make pro, like you're set for life. It's obviously not the case.
not at all, not at all. Unless you have sponsors that will back you and
Yeah,
help you all through the like the whole thing, and that sponsorship too. Like that helps if you have to travel somewhere. Like usually the promoter pays for the travel and expenses and stuff, but that helps you if you need. Like I work full-time job, right? I got to take time off work. Yeah, okay, I'll use some personal days or vacation time, but it's like they don't need to know that. I got to take that time off. I'm losing this much money not working for a couple days. And if I get injured, okay, I got more time off. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to make sure you have it all set.
yeah, absolutely. So after your MMA career, what happened next? Did you just, obviously, I know you're still training now.
Yeah, I
Okay,
fought
but
back in November. I fought in MMA in
so
November.
you're still
Kickboxing. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So
I'm still fighting. Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah. So
Okay, cool.
I was in Indonesia last year. And then I was in no the year before. So 20 end of 24 I was in Indonesia, and then 25 I was in Winnipeg fought. Um, I'm probably gonna sign with BKFC hopefully soon. Do some bare knuckle boxing. Um, One of my sponsors, Fight Wax, they have connections that they can get me in no problem, and I've been already talking to them and doing stuff. But I got a couple breaking championships I want to do first, and then sign with BKFC and do some bare knuckle boxing, take a few fights, and maybe call it a day when it comes to fighting. Right? So,
Yeah.
excuse me, make some money, and I can probably do dirty boxing, Mike Perry's league. I trained with him back last year in April. No, was it this year? Yeah, last year in April when I went to Florida, I was training at Fusion XL and trained with all the pros there. And then Mike Perry showed up on the Saturday and sparred with everybody and whatnot, and talking to him about PK or his league that he has, Dirty Boxing. And yeah, we had a good conversation, and who knows, something might happen with that. Karate Combat, I don't know what the hell is going on with them. I was supposed to fight there in the early days of Karate Combat, and then the recruiter that they had later on found out that I guess he was competing too, and you shouldn't have somebody that's competing in your league be a recruiter for that division, because he found out later who I was and watched some of my videos and told me to do more point fighting tournaments. I said, is this a full contact league or is this a point fighting league? I have all the emails.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and he's just like, oh, you got to do this and that. I'm like, do what? More point fighting? I said I compete in point fighting. I'm a traditional martial artist. Like, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
And then yeah, and then all of a sudden now there's a new president, new different things like that. So a couple of years ago, I got contacted by their matchmaker asking if I can fight. He didn't give me a date. I said, well, I can fight. Yeah, no problem. I just said I'm out of town between this day and this date. He's like, oh, I needed you for, let's say, the 26th, and I was gone till the 28th. But I was going to Cuba, and the fight was in Miami. I said, just send a boat over. I'll go, I'll fight and come back on my vacation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked that I couldn't take that fight because I was already on, like I was gone. But it was good in one way that I told him I was gone certain dates before he gave me a date for the fight, because I had no idea. So I'm hoping maybe they call me again one time, and then I can fight for them, which would be good. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. They already called me once, and see if they call me again.
Heck yeah, dude. Man, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome, dude. Chucky, how would you like to have your like obviously you're still young, you're still competing, but if we had to kind of look forward, if you will, or kind of look ahead, if you could kind of close out your legacy, or like how do you see your legacy kind of closing out as far from your competition, sense? Like how, what would be your perfect nirvana, if you will?
Well, technically, I'm going to hopefully sign with BKFC. I'm going to get a few fights there.
Yep.
Mateo's 14 now.
Is he
Once he
really?
turns 18,
Dang,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Once he turns 18, hopefully get him some pro fights. And my probably end goal would be fighting on the same card as my son in a pro MMA fight.
Yeah.
And
Not
so have
against
him
him, of
on.
course.
No, but be on the same card as him, a father and son on the same card. for an MMA fight, and then maybe call it quits after that. You know what I mean? So that's my goal, I guess, to fight on the same card as my oldest son
Nice,
and
dude.
go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen quick, because I didn't realize he
Yeah.
was even 14. That's crazy.
14. Yeah. My youngest is 5 and he's 14.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, now I want to kind of jump into the family role because I know you're a dad and you've been dad now for a while. So when you're coaching your kids or instructing your kids, is it hard to separate the dad role from the sensei role, or is it kind of just all meshed, together?
So the younger two don't really do much. They'll hit me at home. They'll mess around at home. They don't really train too much. They would try the class once in a while and then they would just run off.
Yeah.
Mateo was training a lot, and then his soccer got really busy. All 3 boys play soccer. Mateo's on a nice travel team as a goalie and practices 4 or 5 days a week. So it's like it cuts into everything else. Like when he's getting ready for a tournament, like, yeah, he's going to sit down at home. And like right now, you see behind me, I got the cage with everything down. I got tatami mats. This room is fully matted with tatami mats.
So,
Yeah, it's like a spare bedroom. It's 300 square feet. And I got a bed in the one corner and tatami mats, heavy bag, everything, all I need. Right. So he comes down, he can train here. I can train with him at home. Once in a while, he gets to the dojo for some sparring. That's about it. Like he's busy with soccer. As long as he's staying active,
you don't care what he does.
I don't care because it's easy for him just to get into that mind frame or that mindset and change his attitude when it comes to competing, right? So
Yeah.
if he's just sitting around playing video games, like he rarely does anything, right? He's at soccer every day. Like his outdoor practices start soon and he'll be out there until 10 o'clock at night. Like it's crazy. So all 3 boys are practicing. They have soccer 4 or 5 days a week. And then hopefully the other 2 start training in karate soon. I'm not forcing them. That's why I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever you want to do. 5-year-old and 7-year-old. If they want to do it, they do it. If they don't, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
But Mateo has no choice. He's my firstborn. He's been doing it his whole life already,
And he's good at it.
and he's going to continue on, right? And I didn't force him either, right? And he wants to do it. Right? So he asked me, he's like, yeah, can I go compete here? Can I do that? Yeah, go ahead. Like as long as you get ready for it, I'm going to get you ready for it. He starts high school in September. I'm the wrestling coach at that high school, so he's going to be wrestling for me there too.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Yeah. So what's the role like as a wrestling coach there? Like, what's your role there? Like assistant coach, right? You just said.
No, I'm the full time coach. I'm like the main head coach.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Yeah, I'm the head coach of the wrestling team. I'm actually the only coach at that school, which sucks. And sometimes when I got 30 kids on the mat and going to tournaments, like I got to go here, go here, go here. I got kids everywhere. I'm like, this is crazy. And then sometimes I'll have somebody come out and help me out, just like to help coach. They're like, hey, watch this person or watch that person. Or one of my senior athletes will be like, all right, go over there. If this new person, whatever, I'm not worried about how they do in the first couple tournaments. So go ahead and coach them, help them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're, so what's your, not your mindset, but what's your overall like mission when you're coaching, like when you're coaching a wrestling room or when you're instructing out on the dojo mat or the, floor, if you will, or like what's your mindset for the athletes? Like what's your overall goal that you want each athlete to like leave with at the end of the day?
I just tell them I'm not here for myself. I'm here for you, right? So even the high school, like I volunteer coach. I'm a volunteer. Like we don't get paid.
Yeah.
Our high school sports are brutal. Like they don't pay the coaches, right? So
really,
if I was in the United States, I'd be making a killing coaching, right? So
yeah.
I bring people like our national championships and they win all the time, right? So it just sucks. Like I'm a volunteer. So when I get there and I coach them and I tell the kids, I said, I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. I said, I'm a volunteer. If I'm not here, you don't have a team.
Yeah.
I said, I work full time. I got 3 kids of my own. I explained my whole situation. I said, I train, I do this and that. I said, but if you're not going to give me 100%, I'm not going to be here. There's no point. I said, I'm not doing this for me. If you don't want to be in the team, leave. If you want to stay here and give me 100%, I don't care how good you do. I don't care how bad you do. As long as you give me 100%, then I'll be here. If you're not, well, there's no point in me being here. I'm wasting my time. It's my volunteer time, right?
Yeah.
So it's when I drill that into their head. And when it comes to the dojo, it's like, it's my father doing everything. And I go out there and I help and I train people, and like my mindset's a little bit different, right? Because people are paying for training
Yeah.
than me volunteering, right? So it's like I'm not here for myself. I'm here for you guys. I'm here to make you better. Yeah, it's a little bit different mentality, right? Like I have to be there, and I can't be like, all right, well, if you're not giving me 100%, I'm leaving. No, I have to be there, and I'm going to give you 100% because you're paying for it, right? With the volunteer, it's like I don't have to be here. This is not. I don't have to be here, like right? Like with the dojo, it's like, okay, well, you're paying for good training. I got to teach you. I gotta help you out, even if you're doing bad. I'm still gonna help you out and get you better. Like,
Yeah.
and this is my goal. This is what I have to do. But high school, it's like, all right, well, if they were paying me, it was a different story, right?
Yeah.
Like this year, I almost said, you know what, I'm not going to coach next year. And then I'm like, well, no, Mateo starts high school. I have 4 more years at least with them.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that quality of instruction, it helps transcend, because I like how you mentioned, like, when you're getting paid, it's more of an obligation, but you're already used to teaching, and you do it with a place of passion and love, as it is, with your
yeah,
wrestlers. So I feel like it's a no brainer. It's like I feel like you just love giving back. So I mean,
yeah,
obviously, you're coaching
you
for
have
the
to,
right
right?
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been people that I've trained or coached that kind of like left, I guess, which kind of sucks because like you put all that time and effort into those people and they've excelled, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden they leave, and it's like, and people forget where they come from. That's what
Hmm.
I don't like. Um, you can branch off, you can do whatever you got to do for your own personal well-being, whatever, but always remember where you come from.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Like, remember who taught you, brought you to where you are, showed you everything you know.
Yep.
Just remember where you come from. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, it doesn't matter if you trained with this person or that person, but who taught you everything that you know. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then you excel from there. But like, just remember where you come from. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I believe in, right? So
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. So, yeah. So going back to the original question I asked earlier in the show is like, man, what haven't you done? So, you're in the Guinness World Records. You're a father of 3. You're a husband, martial artist, Isshin-ryu karate. You've done MMA. You're still competing, and now you're coaching
yeah,
wrestling, man. So, how the heck do you find time for you, bro? Or is I
we
feel for
we were
you
also on Family Feud.
like, yeah.
We did
So
Family Feud too. Yeah, right. How do I
that's
find time for
awesome.
me?
Yeah, dude.
Uh,
And you also
when I try,
bartend. Yeah.
yeah, I bartend on weekends. So like, bartending on the weekends is, I guess you can say, my time to myself almost.
You enjoy
Wife and
that?
kids go to sleep. Wife and kids go to sleep. I go and I make some money and I have fun. I have fun doing it, right? Like I suction cup cans to my head and my hand and whatever. And I pour drinks and I do different things, right? Like I put on a show. I entertain people. That's how you make good money, right? That's how you make good tips. Some
Yeah.
of the girls that I bartend with are like, like we all split tips, whatever. But like you can look at the tip cups, and sometimes like there's been times where they're like, how'd you get that, or how'd you make that much? I'm like, well, I see what I do, right? Like, or you see the sales that I made and whatever. It's like everybody's throwing 5 here, 10 here, 20 there. Like somebody gave me a $98 tip one time just because they were on their debit, and they're like, oh yeah, here, $98. I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks. Like, whatever. So it's like, I have fun doing it. Like, yeah, it's long hours. It's like, when do you have time to sleep? Like I'll work a 9 to 5 and then go bartend that night, 10 to 2, 10 to 3 in the morning. Right. So it's like, I got a couple hours. I'm at home. I shower, eat, sleep for a couple hours, and then I go straight to work. Like it sucks. You gotta have to do it, right? Like I got 3 kids. I got bills to pay. Like life's getting expensive. Life's getting busy, and I got to stay busy trying to pay these damn bills.
Is that why they
So
call you the
that's
Energizer Bunny?
keep going, right? I don't stop. I got to keep going, doing everything, right? So
Yeah, dude.
yeah, making t-shirts and this little side hustle I got to do, right? Just to make a little bit extra money here and there, and got to pay bills.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Chucky, this has been awesome. I really enjoyed you coming on and just, sharing your story. Before we leave off, if there's anything that like maybe I missed or something that you wanted to say, maybe early on, but the question that I'm going to leave you with is, you know, I would say, and I kind of asked you this kind of like how you want to, close off or like, close out your competing career, which I know you're like, not done with that yet. But ultimately, right, let's say in 50 years from now, like, how do you want people to remember you by? Because your dad has done an amazing job with his legacy and is
Yeah.
still ongoing. So, and I know that, like you see, like I see a lot of your dad in you, and I'm sure people have said that,
Yeah.
but you're also your own person. So ultimately, right, when like our time is so limited on this planet, as they say, but like when like like before you go, like what legacy like do you hope to leave behind?
Honestly, like I want to do everything my dad's done and then do it with my own twist, right? And do it better, I guess. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he had that stepping stone for me, like he had that base, and I'm trying to excel and push forward and move forward. That's what I want Mateo to do. I want him to follow our footsteps, I guess you could say, but be better than me.
Yeah.
Like my dad wants me to be better than him. So I'm doing the breaking, like he's done the full contact stuff. I'm doing it. I'm still doing it. He's done the breaking. I've been doing the breaking. Have the Canadian Championships coming up May 2nd, and then the Worlds hopefully in July, a couple weeks before Tennessee. And I plan on just showcasing a couple things. Like if you saw that video of me breaking the can with the egg in my hand,
Yeah.
hammer fist in the can, like I'm putting my twist on the creative breaking. It's called creative breaking. You got to have different breaks. I'm going to do a bunch of my dad's breaks, but throw my twist in there, right? You got to be creative. So I'm just trying to do everything he did and just have that one step up above him. I always tell him you have every award and every Hall of Fame under the sun except the Guinness World Record, and that's something I have that you don't have. So I always poke him with that, right? So it's like, hey, I got something that you don't have, right? So, and that's what he wants. He wants me to do better, and then I want my son to do better, right? So I want my kids to do better. So yeah, like as long as I have one thing above my dad, I'm happy. You know what I mean? That Guinness World Record he doesn't have.
Yeah.
So he's gonna rewatch this and he's gonna laugh and be like talk. He's gonna say something, right? So, but yeah, like I have something that he doesn't have, and I always bugging him about it. And I'm just gonna continue on doing what he does, and then just put my little twist on it.
Yeah. Bro, like I was gonna ask your dad to be on, but if I don't, then you have two things. You were on the Kumite Lifestyle podcast.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool, bro.
Sure.
Yeah, so as we close out here, where can people find you, or if they want to get a hold of you, like whether it's social media, website, because I know you mentioned sponsors, like where can people
Yep.
like yeah, basically how can viewers get in touch with you, Chucky, if they want to?
Yeah, just find me on Facebook, Chucky Mady, or Instagram, Chucky Mady Official. My TikTok is Energizer Mady. Yeah, any of those, through my email, I got a link tree on there. You can
Yep.
look all that stuff up, and even go through you. You can pass them my way, and yeah,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
then I always like to give my guests like the last 60 seconds or so to give any last minute shout outs to anyone that kind of comes to mind. I know your list is probably long, but is there anyone that you would like to give thanks to right now?
Let me get this paper out and let me read. Just kidding. Yeah, no, just yeah, I want to thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Everybody that I've trained with and taught over the years. My sponsor right now that I have, Fight Wax, and any other sponsors that want to jump aboard. But I'm going to give a shout out to Fight Wax. Always look them up. Use my promo code. This stuff is amazing. But anyways, yeah, just yeah, thanks everybody for watching and supporting me over the years and looking up to me. And I'm going to continue on doing what I do and excel and push Isshin-ryu everywhere around the world that I go to and compete. So
Very cool. Well, Chucky, it was an honor to have you on. Thank you so much for taking, a time out of your day to, talk a bit about your story and just, where you've been and where you're and like, yeah, where you've been and where you continue to go. So, yeah, man,
thanks.
it's super
Yeah.
cool to have
Yes.
you on. And I'm looking forward to seeing you, in July at the Isshin-ryu Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'll see you there. Thanks. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me on.
Yeah,
All
man,
right.
take care.